Thanks for tuning in to the Old Dirty Basement. On this week's episode, we're covering the Pizza Bomber.
Yeah, man. Come for the pizza, stay for the explosives. This is one delivery route I'd never want.
Yeah, try to get this in under 30 minutes or less, but who knew such horror could start out with an order for 2 large pepperoni and sausage pizzas?
Yeah, definitely. So this one's a documentary you can check out over on Netflix called Evil Genius. Definitely check that out. But first, check our podcast out, obviously. We hope you're enjoying that. Speaking of which, if you are, leave that 5-star rating. Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you're listening. On Apple, leave us a written review. It really helps us out. And sit back, relax, and enjoy the Pizza Bomber.
Fellas.
Officer Vince, what's going on?
Good evening.
Hey.
Good evening.
Officer Vince.
What is up, my best buddies I've never met?
Yeah.
That's right. One of these days.
Best buddies in the world.
Yeah, we were just talking about a trip to Erie. Maybe we'll go up there, hang out on the beach, and go to the zoo.
Oh, yeah.
That's about all we saw.
Right. Yeah, we have Fresco and a Pizza Bomber.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it's fun fact. Yeah. So we were talking about the Pizza Bomber, and we would absolutely love to get any kind of input, intel, insight you might have on that guy.
It was a very memorable case, just because how horrific and unique it was. You know what I mean? Like, you just, I don't know if you ever heard anything like it before, but it was pretty memorable. I mean, it's hard to believe we're coming up on 20 years, actually.
Yeah.
That's crazy, yeah.
I was mentioning that. I remember seeing it on, I think it was the nightly news or whatever, and I just passing by and seeing this guy like up against the cop car, like a white T-shirt on or whatever. I just, I remember that. And when I seen it again, it was something that stuck out in my memory.
Now, Officer Vince, did you say you knew somebody or had like a friend or somebody that was involved in like the investigation or?
Yeah. So, two buddies. One was an ATF agent. He was heavily involved. He was there that day. And then actually helped with the investigation along the way, and a state trooper with the Pennsylvania State Police. They were also present on that day. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So our bombs, is that ATF? Is that their territory?
Yeah. I mean, we have an office in Erie. We have a federal building. So there's ATF and FBI right in Erie. So,
but there's still certainly a local bomb squad. Yeah. No,
there is a bomb squad in the city of Erie.
Okay.
Which I never really found an answer as far as it took them. I don't know, like I think it was like 30 minutes or something to get there.
Is that? I knew what the timeline was. Yeah, it was. Do you know how long that guy was sitting out there? Like that they were kind of like at a standoff,
finishing his quarter pounder with cheese or whatever.
Yeah.
That's funny. It took them 30 minutes. They should have been in there 30 minutes or less.
Like Domino's.
Pizza delivery.
I think if I remember right, he was in the bank like around 1 something in the afternoon.
Okay.
And I think when the bomb went off, it was like after 3 o'clock.
So it was a good 2 hours.
Okay.
I think it was like 1:30.
Yeah.
1:30 or 1:35, something like that.
During the robbery.
Yeah.
At PNC Bank.
Gotcha. So that Route 19, is that what it is or whatever? It's like called Peach. Is that Peach Street?
Peach Street.
That is the main road that goes through Erie with all the businesses. I mean, and Erie's less than 30 minutes away.
From where you're at?
And that where I live, 30 minutes away, we're still considered that region. So we get our only news channels are out of Erie.
Yeah.
And they cover our areas as well. But
Erie's like little Canada.
Yeah. It was all over. It was all over the news. You know, it was like something out of Saw. Was that movie Saw? Did that come out?
That's funny you said that. Yeah, I don't know if that was out by that time.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
that's a good question because Matt brought and I had the same thought about Saw the movie and kind of how you had to do X, Y, and Z to
or something going. You have a certain amount of time, certain keys. If you get these keys in the right amount of time and figure this out, then you don't die.
Right.
You're right.
But we did bring that up.
The scavenger hunt was bizarre, and there was a couple things because he never really went through with the scavenger hunt. I don't think. I think he got as far as like McDonald's after the bank.
Yeah, from what I was able to read, he got one stop, like of X number of stops he was supposed to do. He got through the first one, and That's when the cops found him, like right after he completed step 1.
Right.
Yeah, in his green Geo
But
Metro.
There were several other steps, and there was actually stuff that they found in other areas. And I can't even drive to Erie to this day without looking at this one particular road sign that they set something beside. I can't remember if it was like a jar or something, but they set it right beside the road sign that I passed. I mean, I've worked in Erie for 13 years, so I was up there all the time, and it was just kind of bizarre. You know, it kind of made you really think like how crazy this was, and it actually happened, you know, right here.
Yeah, it was definitely a wild story. I don't remember it from the news back then. I watched this documentary back in 2018 when it came out. Obviously, I just watched it again for like a refresh on it, but it just seemed odd that basically that guy, that the Rothstein, the gentleman that was living in the house with the girl and the body in the freezer, when the the police went in there to investigate.
So wild.
And he basically was like, oh, yeah, this isn't connected to that pizza bomber case. Made like a comment, and they kind of blew it off and were like, whatever, went about their business, that they didn't like connect it back then. But it seemed like that case went on for a little while until they started putting all the things together. It was definitely crazy. It was cool to watch it again.
So there was a dude named Floyd Stockton who lived with Rothstein.
That's right.
He actually just died 4 months ago.
Oh, really? Wow.
No shit.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they consider him like the last person involved to be. You know, he was the last person involved, and now he's dead. So like, they don't think there's anybody else alive that was involved in that.
Right. He was the last link is now gone.
What about that prostitute? Like we were talking about.
Crack whore.
Yeah, the crack whore. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hoopstick.
I don't know what happened to her, and she had to be. She was somewhat responsible for it because she's the one that introduced Wells to that crew.
That's what. Yeah, we got into that a little bit at the, near the end, and
you were saying that she had Wells as little baby. Yeah,
there was a rumor that she was pregnant, and she said that it was more than likely his child, Brian Wells. So there was like a whole lot of shit going on.
Yeah, I mean, she's the one that brought Brian to them, and he just got duped as far as the whole thing. He was in on it to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, whatever the original agreement was, whether he was trying to back out or he knew too much. It was supposed to be a fake bomb, and they put a real bomb on him because, like I said, he knew too much or something. But you can't put anything past that Armstrong lady because she had like at least 3 bodies that she was already responsible for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She's a Black Widow.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. She was a killer already. But that's what we were saying. Why go through such an elaborate plan to kill her father? Like, if the guy was willing to do it for whatever he needed for it, like, why didn't he just go and do it? And
yeah, the whole thing
it just seemed weird.
The whole thing didn't make sense, but I thought it was cool.
Ross, he had a lot. He knew a lot more than what he said, and I know the one FBI agent was just like, by his deathbed, like, don't take this to the grave with you. Let me know what happened. And he never really said anything in detail. And but I think, from what I understand, people don't give him enough credit for that whole elaborate incident. I think he had more involvement than people think. They just think Marjorie she was the one.
Then he let on. Yeah, that's what I was wondering too, because they're both super intelligent, very, very smart people. So there's a good chance that he
was like a shop teacher, I think they said, or
he had a very high IQ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I used to eat at that pizza place too. I used to eat at that.
You ate there?
Brian would have had to be working when I would go there because it was close to where I was working. So we would always stop in that pizza spot. And but yeah, he had to have been working when I was.
Was it a good pie? Did they have a good subs? Okay, cool.
Was it the bomb?
He has a ton of pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
We were talking about this. If a pizza place delivers, we always say if you don't deliver, the pizza's probably better. If they make you come to that, you know what I'm trying to say? Like if you actually do pizza delivery, maybe the pizza's not as good. I don't know, but maybe that pizza was decent. But a couple of the pizza shops we know around here that don't deliver, they seem to have the best pies because they're like, yeah, you want it, you come to us and stuff like that. I was surprised.
Not trying to get it out the door.
No, I was surprised to hear that at Erie, like from Erie, like central Erie there. You could be in either state in like 20 minutes, they said. So if they really wanted to get away with it, they could have drove to New York or Ohio and been there like in no time at all, you know. And it had me thinking too about what you said about being in the where you're at with football fans. I was thinking about that. The McAFC triad. He has Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and like Cleveland, like in that area. The McAFC triad, I call it now. I was thinking about that.
I like
Up
that.
in
You
that
can
area.
coin that. That's good. Put that on Sports Center.
We'll patent that.
Yep.
For sure, man. Yeah, I thought I had this case on my mind to tell you about it, and I like I said, I thought I did. I thought I told you, or I was gonna tell you, and then I just slipped my mind. But yeah, this was definitely an interesting, unique, and horrific case. So I was glad you are tackling it.
No, definitely, man. Yeah, we enjoyed it.
And hey, and thanks for being at the other end of the phone to pick up our call and talk even more about it.
Yeah, we definitely dig talking to Officer Vince for sure.
Is there any other ones on your radar there? Any other good ones to?
There was a mobster in Erie I was told about. I have to look it up, but there was some kind of, I guess, pretty interesting history about that. I'll dig up the name and see if it's anything worth it.
Yeah,
So,
send it over to us. We'll
Shoot us a
check it
message.
out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, stay tuned to the end of the episode because we dropped two famous people from Erie. That one of them might be who you're talking about. The other one, you'll probably know the name.
That's right.
But yeah, definitely. But Officer Vince, man, you're our guy. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Just wanted to give you, just a quick call here to, if you had any little things to add to it. So we always appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You guys are the best. You're coming, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
Always. Thanks, Officer Vince. You're the man.
All right, brother. So we'll catch you where?
On the flip side.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Peace.
Peace.
This is the Old Dirty Basement, home to debauchery, madness, murder, and mayhem. A terror-filled train ride deep into the depths of the devil's den.
With a little bit of humor.
History.
And copious consciousness.
I'm your announcer, Shallow Throat. Your hosts are Dave, Matt, and Zap. I love you, Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right.
Hey, this is Dave.
Matt.
And Zap.
And welcome to the Old Dirty Basement.
Where every week we cover a true crime.
Murder.
Or compelling story.
So sit back.
Relax.
And comprehend.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Old Dirty Basement. I am Matt. With me always is Dave and Zap. Hello, fellas.
What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Nothing. I'm doing good.
Cool.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool. It's so hot. so cool.
It's getting hot out, actually. Yeah.
It is.
that
It's nice.
time.
It's getting summery.
Yeah, take off all your clothes.
Yeah. It's so
It's
hot
getting hot in here.
in here.
Yeah. So what do we got tonight?
I guess we have the death of Brian Wells.
Yeah. Better known as the pizza bomber, right?
Pizza
Yeah.
bomber.
Pizza bomb.
Pizza
Ooh,
bomber.
I like what you did there.
Thank you. That's a Runaways song.
That is a Runaways.
Yes.
Shout out to our boy Mississippi Neil. He kind of recommended this during the FedEx one. This is a PA crime again. But this is when they actually made the Netflix special out of it. I saw
Evil
that.
Genius, or what was it called?
Evil Genius.
Evil Genius, yeah.
2018 it came out. I remember watching it back then. And that's actually, I think it was directed or produced by Mark Duplass. I think is how you say his last name. So if you're familiar with The League, he was in that show. And also...
That's the show about fantasy football, right?
That's it.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. He's one of the main characters on there. And then also he was in there was a movie. It's a really good, like I don't want to say B horror movie, but it wasn't like a major release. It was called Creep. And I guess you would call it a horror movie, but
Is that on Tubi?
I think you can find it on
Netflix.
Netflix.
Mm.
Yeah, it's from like 2014 and I think they made a sequel to it, but he was starred in it and I think he might have wrote that and directed it as well, but he was responsible for this pizza bomber, which is like a 4-part documentary. Now, I watched it again. I saw it back in 2018. Now, Zap, you said you didn't see it, correct?
So, yeah, I didn't learn about this. I didn't know shit about this documentary
Okay.
until, and equally, I didn't know anything about this dude, despite this, having happened, not too long ago, but 20 years ago. But
Right.
all right, that's still in memorable time ago. And as, we've talked more and more about this, I am I'm very anxious to see the Netflix series on this. Very anxious because this is just such a crazy story.
I remember seeing it on nightly news. I remember like
the actual crime.
Yeah, like it came, like the guy was sitting there and they said, but getting into that part, I remember like it was like saying the bomb. And they heard like the ticking, which we'll talk about, but you didn't think of anything, and it just guy kind of like just falls over.
Right.
And you're like, well, what the hell was that? Like, what just happened? But
Right.
If I did hear about it back then, I don't remember it, and it didn't like stay with me that when this came out in 2018, that I was like, oh, I remember that. Now,
like him sitting up against a cop car there, and then like the middle of the road, and everybody's just looking at him.
yeah, I don't.
What's this guy doing?
I don't remember any of it, to be honest with you, until, like I said, until the documentary came out. Now, I will say, in my opinion, now you said you did watch it recently, the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
The first episode was really good. I felt like got you tied in, like got you sucked in.
Well, it wasn't Evil Genius. It was on YouTube. There was a couple.
I didn't watch.
Yeah, there was
YouTube.
a group of podcasters that did a couple things on him, and then there was these two guys. Actually, they were kind of cool, and they went around to the different places, like where he grew up. They showed some pictures of.
I would like to see that,
like the back road where he got the call for the first delivery and all that other stuff. It was pretty neat.
Because this was four parts. The first one really good, get you sucked in. The second one slows down, and I actually kind of remember back then. I think I might have bailed on this the first time around in 2018, and maybe watched skip to the third and fourth one. The fourth one gets, at least they wrap it up a little bit. Not the best documentary that I've seen on Netflix. Obviously, I've seen the Dahmer wasn't a documentary, but I've seen a lot of better stuff on there. But yeah, if you want to check it out, YouTube it. Like Matt was saying, I'm sure there's a lot of cool stuff, and obviously you're listening to the podcast, so hopefully we'll do it justice.
Yeah, we'll try. I mean, that's all we can do.
Yeah,
right.
This life we're given, let's try. Any
ties to that area, Zap or Matt? You ever been up there, Erie area?
I've been to Erie a couple of times.
Okay,
just visiting, of course, but well, it's nice. It's out there.
There's
it's like a drive.
There's a lake up there. I think it's
yeah.
I
mean, it's
pretty much Erie.
Yeah,
they make a sponge candy that's quite tasty.
Is that like 6 hours from our area or
it's
around
about
there?
5.
Yeah,
it's like just shy of 5 hours now. Hopefully you heard a little talk with Officer Vince. I'm sure he has some stuff to say about that area. Obviously, Mississippi Neil was up in that area. He's the one who recommended this. I talked to him a little bit about it, that area, and he said, I said, do people vacation there? Because they actually have like a beach there and stuff.
Oh, yeah. There's like boating is big and all kind of shit.
Yeah, Erie's right up at the tip, the very western, northern tip.
Yep.
They call it like the smokestack or something in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. I think that's what they say. But yeah, he said, people go there like a regular beach, you know what I mean, and swim. And the water's a little colder, obviously lake water, but there's some tourism there and stuff. But like you said, a hell of a drive. It just seems like it is.
Yeah, you can go 2.5, 3 hours to a beach.
Well, for me,
to the east of us.
I could drive 5 hours to Erie or 6 hours roughly and be in the Outer Banks. I'm going to the Outer Banks.
Yeah, that sounds like the right choice.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, beach to the east of me, lake to the...
Is that
Here I am, stuck in the middle.
Yeah, stuck in the middle in central Pennsylvania.
Right.
But yeah, death of Brian Wells. If we want to, on August 28th, 2003, pizza delivery man Brian Douglas Wells got involved in some stuff at the PNC Bank. It was a robbery, I guess he had planned. But there was much more elaborate things going on with this robbery that the FBI, even to this day, can't figure out.
Yeah, I think the question is, did he plan it, or was he really forced into it?
Right.
Well, that's the one part where we'll talk about with the big pizza delivery, and we'll get into that. But Brian Douglas Wells was born November 15th of 1956 in Warren, Pennsylvania. He was born to Rose and Harold Wells. His father was a Korean War veteran. So I don't know. I don't know if that has anything to do with,
being
part of
the triad.
Yeah, part of that. But as a 16-year-old sophomore, Brian Wells dropped out of school and went to work as a mechanic.
I wonder what was the impetus for him to drop out of school. Like, did he just so desperately want to make money or do something, or did he really want to get to work with his hands?
If you look at this man,
so that's the 46-year-old man.
Yes,
so he's our age, supposed to be. Yeah.
Wow. Not the 16.
Do we all look like that?
If that's the way, wait. If that's the way he looks when he was 16, that's a. No wonder that guy's
I think
dead.
he was 13 at this time that it was taken.
Right.
He had a hair follicle treatment or something like that. But
hair follicle removal.
Yeah, the guy he doesn't. He looks like a 46-year-old pizza delivery guy.
Yeah.
Those glasses though, those are creeper, man.
I thought he was much older. Like just looking at before they said how old he was, just looking at the surveillance video.
I would have
and
said
the picture.
50s.
Yeah, I would have thought 50s.
Just
for
looking
sure.
at that picture, I would say 50s.
Right.
But he's definitely not a guy that you want hanging around like the school playground.
No.
Or anything like that.
No.
Nah, there'd definitely be some red flags going up with this guy.
So, this guy, Wells worked as a pizza delivery driver at Mamma Mia's Pizzeria. And he worked there for 10 years.
Dang.
So that's a long, it's like he got like a 10-year pin or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's something you stick with.
I wonder
Right.
why he didn't stick with mechanics.
I don't know.
Like there's,
Why would you go in? Well,
So,
I don't think he had to
while
show up for like the job or something.
while I am neither a mechanic nor have I ever been a mechanic, nor have I ever been a pizza delivery guy, I got to believe that a mechanic's wage is going to be a little bit better than the pizza delivery guy wage.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think he showed up for work.
Oh.
It was probably like he had to be there like pizza delivery, when does that start? Like 10:30, 11 o'clock?
So
He
this
had to
guy
be at
just
work.
didn't, I don't know, are we alleging that he didn't necessarily want to wake up on time, be to work on time?
He doesn't look like a worker.
No.
No.
But I mean, the tenure, he stated his job. He must have liked the pizza place.
Yeah. He just
you
looks
get-
like an angry zoo.
He's probably one of them guys that just kind of like you get comfortable with something and it's like, fuck it, I'll do
Sure.
it. I'll do it forever. And
Yeah.
as long as I'm getting a paycheck and I can live, he might have just been happy
Yep.
and really didn't have that drive. A mechanic's probably not an easy job. Like you got to have some
What does it
kind
say?
of
What
skill.
kind of mechanic? So I'm figuring like an auto mechanic, like one of those
Any
ones,
of
like
those,
a
though,
Jiffy
you know.
Lube type.
It's not an easy job, and it's you got to have you got to be skilled and knowledgeable to do that stuff. So maybe he didn't cut it. I
He
don't
did.
know.
He cut the pie though.
He cut the pie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked at a pizza shop. We didn't deliver. You know what I mean? But I can
Usually,
see-
you can tell pizza shops like how good they are, how good their pizza is, like if they deliver or not, right? Or
yeah,
no?
if you're delivering, I would say you're probably not as good.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like walking only, it's kind of like you want it, come get it.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
We're not paying anybody any extra to drop this shit off at your house.
Yeah.
Right.
You want the good stuff, come to us.
Yeah, and we talked about it on one of the podcasts. A good friend of ours we went to high school with had a pizza shop in Steelton, local Steelton, Naples, and Domino's tried to move in there.
No.
Yeah, in Steelton, they put them out of business. Like Naples put Domino's Pizza out of business.
Yeah.
So where do you see that? And this is in the 80s.
Yeah.
I think it was 80s, maybe early
When
90s.
remember-
Domino's was making their
So I
their
now
climb.
know what you mean. But when I first heard you say that Domino's was going to put them out of business,
No,
that's
no,
just,
no.
that's just how I had first interpreted it. But yeah, I remember where that Domino's was too.
Yeah, it was up on the other side of the street,
Yep.
like just up there. But that's one of those things where I don't think Naples delivered. They didn't have to.
No.
It's like, you want it, you come get it.
Yep.
But that's you're able to do that.
Cool. So this guy calls on the phone. The owner picks up. The owner's talking to him and stuff. And this guy's saying something on the phone. The owner's like, I don't understand what the hell this guy's saying. So I think that was the first part of the plot.
Like jibber jabber.
Yeah. So he's like, here, take the phone. So I think that was the first part of this plan that we're going to get into.
Yeah.
So he takes the phone, and it was order for 2 large sausage pepperonis. He writes it down, scribbles it down. And the 2 pizzas were supposed to be delivered to 8631 Peach Street. And it was a few miles from the pizzeria. And the location was a transmitting tower for WeCTV. So on this one special I watched, these 2 guys, they were YouTubers or whatever. They showed walking down this road, and I guess they're saying when the cops got there or whatever later on in the story, there were signs of like a struggle. And so this is like all part of this story where it's like, is this guy really involved in it, or was this something he was set up for?
Yeah.
Yeah, it got to make you wonder.
Was he a plotter? Was he a conspirator, or was he a victim?
Yes, exactly. So back in the story, there's some people that got together. He got this phone call, and through this whole thing, there was something placed around his neck. They said it was sort of a makeshift, kind of like a lock collar, and a small little piece of metal.
It looked like that box looked like the one on the side of your house, like the meter.
Yeah.
Almost that
Yeah,
runs for
yeah.
the electric and stuff. That's what it kind of looked like.
But this is something like I don't know. This was way before the movie Saw.
That's what I was thinking in my head. It's
Yeah.
very much like Saw.
And can you imagine if you had this thing placed on you and you're thinking you're part of something where you're going to be fine, you're going to be safe, like something's going to come out of this, but to realize maybe at the end of it, like something's seriously wrong.
Like you think it's a fake bomb.
Yeah, or something that it's not even part of the story.
So when you said that he discovered that the bomb was real, so if he discovered that the bomb was real, this is going to, if I'm not mistaken, that would assume that he had originally thought that the bomb was fake, which means that he would have otherwise been a part of this plan.
Yes, he was a part of the elaborate scheme.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
All right. So yeah, this pizza bomber. So this happened back in 2003. It was like in August, so over the summer, and it was all over the news and stuff like that, which is funny. I don't remember that from back then, but I'm sure this was like a huge story.
Yeah, dude, I definitely don't remember that. No, I don't know what I was doing in August of 2003. So that's almost 20 years ago.
Right.
I mean, look, I'm lucky to remember. I can't remember last week, like let alone 20 years ago. But I did not hear of this guy.
So there was a PNC bank that was sitting there, McDonald's nearby there. It was like a busy, like you probably have these strips.
Peach Street,
Peach
whatever
Street
it was.
was the
Yeah,
name
it
of
was
it.
like a Main Street type area.
Basically, it's one of those busy routes through most towns where you probably have like your Best Buys and different things like that.
There's
So
like McDonald's. I think there was like a Bass store there. There was some sort of
there was a Texas Roadhouse.
Texas
that's all.
Roadhouse was across the street. Yes,
Right.
from the bank.
Right. So this guy rolls into this PNC bank with what looks like a bulky item hidden underneath a shirt. And the tellers and people inside are like perplexed, like what's going on? So the shirt he had on, it was like a white T-shirt, and you could see it said like Guess jeans
You
on
said
it.
it was written in.
It was
like
written
pen
on
or
there.
something.
Yeah.
Fuck that. The Guess shirt's too expensive. The Guess brand is too expensive. I'm making my own.
Right. So I don't know if that was handwritten on there or what the deal was with this Guess T-shirt, but this guy rolls in basically with a note, and it was like a handwritten note with all these instructions on there demanding, I believe it was $250,000, $250,000, which is going to be a very important number later on. It's going to tie back to some things that if you watch this documentary, they'll talk about that number is going to be important. So these tellers end up scrapping together. They don't have access to the main vault in the back.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only way you're going to get that kind of coin.
That's the only way. So they're able to scrounge up around $8,000, a little bit over that. Now, we don't know at this point whether this guy is there willingly or what the deal is. There's definitely something underneath that shirt, and he has an odd-looking cane that he has.
Oh.
And
Yeah, you said it was something out of, I think you said like a penguin cane.
but it looked like it was actually a gun. It was a cane that was actually a gun.
But was that even a functioning gun? Like, I wonder.
Oh, 100%. That was a
I think it
functioning gun.
was,
it?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this guy walks into this bank with a note and demands $250,000 and walks out with a little over $8,000. Now, when he's in there, he's acting very nonchalant about it, like it's not a big deal.
Right,
he doesn't look nervous.
No nerves, no nothing. He's confident. He's almost arrogant.
And he's not disguising
he
himself.
He wants a lollipop. Yeah, he has no disguise, no hat, no.
Right.
It's just his bald head and some funky glasses.
Right.
And
who would
homemade Guess shirt.
Yeah, and I don't think you get, like, what grown man gets a lollipop anyhow when you go into
I do.
And, well, I don't.
The kids get
anymore,
one, or want to get the haircut.
So there's an old actor, now dead, Telly
Savalas.
Telly Savalas. Yeah. So he, of Greek heritage, he quit smoking, and when he quit smoking, he started eating lollipops. So because he smoked like a fucking broke stove, when he went on into the lollipops, you would never see him without a lollipop in his mouth, and that actually became like a trademark thing for him, like a trademark look for him.
Right.
Always with a lollipop.
Always with a lollipop.
Some people do that with toothpicks also.
Yeah.
Right.
I think his line was, "Who loves you, babe?"
Yeah, it's Telly Savalas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this guy goes in with the bank, walks out with $8,000 basically. When he gets out of the bank, it's not long that he's surrounded by cops, state police. They all surround him.
Yeah, they said that the funny part about that is he gets out of the bank and hops into a green Geo Metro. So at the time, I mean, Geo Metros weren't a very hard car to spot.
No,
it's not like a Honda Civic or something out there, like a brown Honda Civic. He had a green Geo Metro.
Yeah. Right. And at that point, he's in a McDonald's parking lot. There was a McDonald's nearby there. And this is all now being filmed, and it's on the news. And I mean,
nearby, he means like a stone's throw.
Right.
He didn't go far.
And at this point, we don't know he's the pizza bomber and that he's a pizza delivery man. None of that is known yet. But you have these state police there surrounding the guy, and they're now with cars like kind of parked around him, and they're talking to him like, "Hey, what's going on?" He was like talking back to the cops like, "I had nothing to do with this. Like, I'm innocent."
These three black guys.
Yeah.
The 3 or 4 black guys.
If I read correctly,
attacked me.
These 3 black guys made me do this. They put this thing around my neck, and they forced me to do this.
Right.
And
that thing around his neck, it ends up being a bomb.
It's a fucking bomb.
Yeah.
Did we mention Saul yet, or
No,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Once we get in and find out what all happened before this, we'll talk about that part of it. But yeah, so now this guy's sitting there with a bomb around his neck that they don't know if it's fake. They don't know if it's real. They're just talking to the guy, and he's like, no, it's real. Like, you need to get me out of this. And he's like pleading with these cops. But you're in a tough situation, because if it is a real bomb and it goes off and you're over there trying to get this bomb, you know, you're going to die with the guy.
They said they were waiting for like the FBI and the bomb people to show up. Like, and he was just sitting there, and the cops were like, "What? He got a bomb? Like, we don't know what this thing is."
Yeah, there's bomb specialists that have to come in, I'm sure, with special gear they wear and everything to protect themselves.
Now,
Well,
also within that note, though, if I recall correctly, there was certainly the nervousness about him to get that bomb off of his neck, but he was almost on a mission, wasn't he? Like,
Like a treasure hunt?
there
Is
was
that what you're-
things he needed
Yes.
to do.
yeah, which they would find out then when they got a hold of all the paperwork that he had with him. So
Okay.
as they get close to him and they see the bomb and stuff, and the bomb ends up going off at one point.
Yep.
And it explodes, and the guy's dead.
Yep.
So they actually have video of that. Like, they show it in the documentary. I'm sure if you go on YouTube, you can see that.
They
And-
said he heard it beeping,
Yeah,
and that's why they were like,
hear,
well, and he was like, that's where he started freaking out a little bit.
you can hear the beep, 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 beep.
Mhm.
So I think at one point, like, I think in his mind, he thought it was fake. And then at one point, he realized this is for real. And I think this thing's really going to go off. So it's at that point today when they start investigating this, they probably find all that paperwork, all the stuff he had on him, and they see this is kind of like you were talking about, like a Saw movie almost,
Yeah.
where this guy had papers and papers of instructions and different things he had to do. The bomb had like 5 keys, different
Okay.
Yeah,
keys that,
keyholes. Yeah.
that you would need to unlock to disengage the bomb. And at this point, everybody's just perplexed, and it would stay that way for years till they would actually figure out. And I still don't know that they absolutely 100% know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said this bomb, it looked like a big handcuff around your neck, and it had, I guess, 2 pipe bombs
Yep.
located inside of it.
So in order to do the autopsy and everything, and to get the bomb to take a look at it, they actually had to decapitate the
Yeah.
gentleman.
They cut this fucker's head off.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that was the only way that they were able to get to the bomb and check it out and stuff. So
So
What
the
was
autopsy
left-
guy's like, he's like, get the saw out.
I should
Right.
say,
Time.
basically, what was left of the bomb.
right.
Because, I mean, so when this thing exploded, it didn't, like, so you said quite aptly, it didn't blow his fucking head off. No, the bomb was attached to his body by virtue of that neck handcuff, that neck cuff,
Right.
but was certainly in his chest.
Mm-hmm.
So when this John went off, it blew a fucking hole in his chest.
Right. The way they had scored the back of the metal of the bomb, they had scored it into like patterns almost that it would go like shrapnel.
Yep.
And that was the plan. And parts of it did. And it went about an inch deep, I think they said, into his chest. That's what killed him.
Yep.
But yeah, it was definitely not a fun death.
No.
Not,
I mean,
not that any death is, but
But this guy was making, like he said, he's making a cane shotgun. The guy's constructing a handcuff type bomb. The guy made a bomb.
right.
So
Who made a bomb?
the guy or the girl
The girl.
or
Well,
the
we'll
person.
find out.
Yeah.
Or the somebody?
So this is going on. They're investigating. They really don't have many leads on this. There's a lot of things that transpired that day that'll come back around later on. But I don't remember if it was, I don't know if you guys have the timeline on this, but there was a phone call that came into the police at some point about a body being in a freezer in a woman's house locally there. Actually, address-wise, not far from where this pizza bomber thing had happened, was on Peach Street, like the 7,000 block of Peach Street. And we're talking about
I thought you were going to say they found frozen pizzas.
no.
In
We're
the deep
talking.
freeze.
We're talking about the 8,000 block, roughly of Peach Street. So not far at all down that strip of road. They got a call to go check out this woman's house. That there's a body in the freezer and all that. So, not really thinking at that time this would have anything to do with the pizza bomber or this whole story that we're talking about in the beginning. Local police go out and start investigating this woman's house, and that woman's name is Marjorie Deal.
Marjorie Deal.
Yeah, so
Right.
that in fact was a month after. It was on September 20th, 2003. And this all went down in what, August?
August, right?
August.
2003. So yeah, that call
Mhm.
was this was this dude that there was basically saying that there was, hey cops, there's a body in my garage, in a freezer in my fucking garage.
And that was at Rothstein.
That was no, the dude's name was
Barnes?
James Roden.
Rodin.
Oh, James
Yes.
Roden was the one that was in the freezer.
That was
So-
the dead guy.
Yes, the dead
Okay.
guy was Roden.
Right.
So now I see what you're saying. Yes. That's correct. That is correct. Rothstein was the fixer, the cleaner.
Right.
So Rothstein went on later on to say that this Deal Armstrong broad gave him $2,000. So you clean it up, you hide the body, and we'll be good.
Right. So he calls police to alert them that there's a body there, and he's now trying to basically work with police. Basically, hey, I was involved, and there's this body in the freezer. Go there, find the body, and I'll help you with the investigation and everything. But there's something very weird that he says. Now, this is a month later.
Sure.
They're in the house, and they're going around looking, and he says, this has nothing to do with that pizza bomber case, by the way. I just want to let you guys know because I don't want you wasting your time investigating.
And they were saying Rothstein was the one that made this crazy collar bomb, correct? Is that
he's involved?
Or
He's
the
involved.
one who maybe made this?
Right.
Yeah, he is the assumed creator of the devices.
Right. So this Marjorie Deal, who's the lady that he's instructing them to go check out, she's at this house, and this Rothstein had a on and off relationship for many years, dating back to the 60s, I believe.
Yep.
All the way up until we're now in 2003. At this time now, they're both later in life. I think she was probably in her 50s at that time, or older maybe.
I mean, she was born in early 49.
So she's in her...
In 03, she would have been 54.
Yeah, and he
said, yeah, she was an intelligent woman back in the day.
They were both super, super smart.
Yep.
And that's kind of what attracted her to him. He was older and very intelligent and smart. So you start thinking about this pizza bomber plot and this other side story that's going on, and you can see where, who would be elaborate enough to come up with like a plan like this? So this pizza bomber thing, back to that Brian Wells, the guy with the bomb around his neck, we come to find out was a pizza delivery man.
Yep.
And he was actually called to deliver a pizza to a radio tower.
Yep.
That was not far at all from...
It's also on Peach Street.
The pizza shop. It was only a couple miles, I think.
Yes, they said a couple miles.
And not far from this house that they're investigating, this body in the freezer. So this Brian Wells, the man who died from the bomb, the pizza bomber, was a 46-year-old pizza delivery man. He was dealing with prostitutes and kind of like a seedy life and doing stuff like, at night and
yeah, he wasn't a very smart individual. I think dropped out of school early.
I don't remember with him. Was he into drugs at all, or was he more just into the prostitutes?
The prostitutes,
yeah.
Yeah, he didn't need drugs.
Ladies.
Yeah.
Right. And all these lives are kind of intertwined at some point here with the story. But there was another pizza delivery man that ended up dying like the next day.
Did he work at the same shop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think his name was Panini, like with a P.
Panini, something like that.
Is it Panini?
No,
Panini?
those are delicious.
It was something like that.
It was just a coworker. He was that's the thing. I did see that. He was apparently found dead of a drug overdose.
Drug overdose, right.
But look, I know a guy. I might know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. Mm-hmm. You can make people look like they died of a drug overdose.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can do any of that.
Yeah.
So this guy, this other pizza delivery guy, the one that died, Panetti, yeah. Yep. This Marjorie Deal, this Rothstein, they're all going to tie together at some point. So these stories definitely are going to tie together. Mm-hmm. So like I said, this Rothstein and this Marjorie Deal had a history together. She actually, over her life, I think there were like 4 or 5 of her significant others that ended up dead.
Yes, she was like a black widow.
Basically. So there was a case in like 1984 where she had shot her husband 6 times and claimed self-defense.
Yeah, she was later acquitted of that due to the self-defense claim.
Mm-hmm.
Getting away with murder.
Basically.
6 times in self-defense, though.
Look,
that's
OJ
hard to
did
prove.
it. Not necessarily. I mean, when you're in the heat of action and like, look, if something's coming after you or whatever.
Oh, yeah, it's like boom, boom, until you're, yeah, I get that. I mean, I've never been in that situation, but I can understand
But that Rothstein and her were kind of on and off during all these relationships. This latest, the one that's in her freezer, the body that they ended up finding was her boyfriend at the time. Mm-hmm. And there again, there's another dead body around her. Of course, she's arrested at that time for that. Now, Rothstein continues to cooperate with police and basically tell them, what he knew about it, that she had murdered this guy and, wanted him to get rid of the body and all that. Meanwhile, over on the pizza delivery case, it's like a cold case. They don't really have much to go off of.
They just think it's this crazy dude that had a bomb around his neck. And, according to his story, they thought he was accosted by 3 black guys who put this thing around his neck and told him to go rob a bank and bring us the money, and then we'll get the bomb off of you.
Yeah, but that was funny. They did find, like, the struggle. There was signs of, like, a complete struggle, which
at the radio tower.
at the radio tower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were like footprints up there and different things that they could go up and look at, like forensics and stuff. I guess they were able to say, there was something that went on here. And
this is where he went to deliver the pizza.
Right. So they're aware that something happened there. Yeah. And obviously they can't interview him to get any info out of him about who he was talking to or who ordered the pizza and stuff.
Because they chopped his head the fuck off.
Right.
Yeah.
But then did you know, like, was that part, like, did they roll around in the dirt and say, okay, we're going to make it look like a struggle because the guys jumped you, you're not going to stand still or they're trying to put a collar on you. So let's, like, ruffle all this shit around and make it look robbery-like or whatever.
Right. Well, there was another gentleman then that was involved. Barnes was his name.
Kenny Barnes.
Kenny Barnes. Yeah. So he was like a local drug dealer, and he would supply the crack and the cocaine to everybody. So there were prostitutes, basically girls turning tricks that would go to his house. And
did you get to the 2 prostitutes yet, or the names of, or no?
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, the one, Jessica Hoopsick was the one that was majorly involved. Yes.
Yeah, her and Brian Wells were together. So they had a little thing going where Brian Wells would, the pizza bomber, basically the guy that died.
He would bring crack and pizza to her house.
He would take her to this Barnes house, basically hook up with her, pay her for the sex. She would take that money and then buy the drugs from Barnes. So it was like a perfect business. You know what I mean? She was
circle of life.
It was circle of life, basically. So they had this like whole thing going on. At this time, investigators and the people doing this documentary were trying to track her down to get an interview, and she just wouldn't talk to anybody about it. But she does end up talking here at the end. So we come to find out that all these people are involved. This Barnes, who is the drug dealer, was offered $2,000, I believe it was, to murder this Marjorie Deal's father, who we come to find out is worth some money, had about $1 million or so in the bank, and was giving this money out to different people, basically giving it to churches, giving it to people. Marjorie Deal, who we now know is done some stuff over her life, allegedly. It's not beyond her to murder somebody or have somebody murdered.
Let's not forget she was acquitted for having killed somebody, which with what she had said, and was found to have been in self-defense.
Right.
But she's no stranger to killing.
She is not. And she wanted this father of hers knocked off so the money would stop getting spent everywhere. She basically went the money.
Yeah.
So
but they said she was like a real pig. Did you see, like, they showed pictures of her house and stuff?
She was a
like,
hoarder.
Yeah.
Oh, like okay.
Oh my gosh, there's like stuff everywhere. There was like, it was just really, really nasty. Like, I don't know. I think she was bipolar and stuff too. So that and drugs and whatever wasn't helping. But she was,
So she had wanted this guy to basically, murder her father. Hey, I'll give you $2,000 out of it, knowing that she'll get the insurance money. Yeah, I think it was $2,000.
$2,000 to kill a dude?
Yeah.
To kill her father?
I'm pretty sure that was the number.
He was a friend, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was $250,000.
He was,
250.
Was that what it was?
That's what they wanted to rob the bank for, was $250,000.
Right, but wasn't he going to get so much up front and then like the rest? Basically, I'll give you X amount and then you'll get the rest whenever the deed is done.
Okay,
maybe.
Okay.
All right, we'll go with that.
Well, no, I mean, if you have it down there as that number, but didn't it have like a smaller number to start?
My number, the whole sum total. Barnes had said, "Look, man, Marjorie, whatever." Rothstein, hey, here's a good idea or whatever. We're all kicking this idea around. Fuck it. I'll do it for $250,000.
Yeah, he was willing to do it for $250,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so that number then was $250,000 that
now
that
again,
was offered.
With respect to an installment plan or anything like that, I don't know, a little now, a little later.
There was an installment number that he was going to get, and then the rest upon like completion. But he was basically going to take that installment number money and just say, fuck you, I'm not doing anything, basically. Yeah,
of course.
And also that Rothstein, the property that he owned, he had at some point put it up for sale. It was like an estate that other parts of other people in his family had owned parts of it. And I don't know if it was something where he would have owed them $250,000 to buy out his portion, but there was some connection to the $250,000 on his end as well, that he was promising that, or like there was something with the house, that the property that he had. He told the realtor listed for
This
$250,000.
seems like a real magical coincidental number.
Right. That's why I said that
250's flying everywhere.
Yeah.
That's why that $250,000 that was on the note for the bank was going to come back around, because both of their stories kind of had that number tied to it.
I can't help but wonder if in reality, if Barnes was going to take the 250 and then Rothstein was going to kill Barnes for the 250, take his money.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know that he would have got. I mean, I don't know if Barnes would have got the full. I don't know. You wonder about that. Well, maybe, yeah, he would have got the 250 because she would have kept the rest of the inheritance.
Correct.
You know, one of those deals, because she's going to get the inheritance money. But at some point, all these people's lives are going to intersect. So you got Brian Wells, the prostitute, this Barnes, the drug dealer, the Black Widow, and Rothstein's just kind of like the guy that's hanging around her life all the time, and probably loved her since they were young and just could never hook up with her.
And we didn't get to the Arthur Stockton yet.
Which one was he?
John Stockton, the basketball player.
Yes, he played for the Utah Jazz.
He did.
Actually. I guess he lived in Barnes's home. He was a...
I thought he lives in Rothstein's home.
Oh, it was Rothstein's. That's correct.
He was like the Cato Kalin at Rothstein's
hung
house.
out back.
But he was convicted of rape of a disabled teenager.
What?
So the guy had a record.
Bit of a checkered past.
Yes.
Was he one of the guys? So at one point they had a meeting. So you had Rothstein, Deal, Brian Wells, Barnes,
Kenneth Barnes,
and that other pizza delivery guy, the one from the very beginning. I think he was involved in that meeting. Panetti, yeah. They had a meeting about this bank robbery. Basically, like, we're going to do this bank robbery and this and that. Wells' family says there's no way he would never have been involved in this. He didn't know any of this. And that when he showed up for this pizza delivery, that he was taken aback, like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then there's others that say that he knew what was going to happen and this and that.
Then he didn't start freaking out until he heard the tick, where he's like, oh, shit, they were going to kill me.
Well, when they had all met, they had made this plan basically to meet at the radio tower. And this is what's going to go down. You're talking about like Saw the movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be like, this is what we're going to do. You're going to have this bank robbery, and these are your instructions. So the pizza delivery call comes in. This Brian Wells goes, and now they're all there.
Yep.
Marjorie Deal, Rothstein,
Barnes, and Wells. Yep.
Wells shows up with the pizza, and he says, all right, puts the pizzas on the back of the car, on the trunk, and is like, pay me for the pizzas or whatever. Meanwhile, I forget which one of them comes around and locks the bomb onto his neck.
Right.
And basically gives him the instructions. Now, there's some, like I said, that say that he was not unaware this was going to go on, that it was going to be a real bomb or even a fake bomb. He just thought it was going to be like a bank heist.
What they're saying, the FBI reports after, as time went on, said he was a participant and was a willing participant.
Well, there's a key to that too. If he's a co-conspirator, those other individuals cannot get death penalty.
Right.
If he's not, they could, which is not going to matter now. They're all dead anyhow. But
the way he acted going into the bank, I mean, he must have thought, like, we're going to get away with this. We have two smart people came up with this plan.
Right. So you come to find out that whole thing with Marjorie Deal, her boyfriend being dead in the freezer, this Rothstein, this Brian Wells, and this pizza bomber were all tied together. Now, while this investigating is going on and this pizza bomber case stays like kind of an open case, she's talking in prison to other people. They were calling her the Freezer Queen. She basically got a nickname in prison.
Nice.
Because she was talking about like how she, killed all these men in her life and got away with it and stuff like that. But she was also talking about this case in prison around some of the other women and stuff.
Sure.
So you find out in this documentary near the end that prostitute, that Hoopsick, does end up coming and talking to these guys doing the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she did go to authorities, if they turn these tapes over to the authorities. The authorities say, no, we're going to stick with our original story, that he was a co-conspirator, this Brian Wells, and was in on it. But according to Hoopsick, he was unaware of all this. Like, she had brought him along. She was the one this Hoopsick is the one that kind of introduced her to all these people.
Yeah.
And like, he was unaware of, he was kind of innocent in all this.
Yeah, I think Marjorie said that they wanted Hoopsick or whatever from this plan. They thought he was somebody that was soft in the head, somebody that they could easily manipulate to do what needed to be done to work out this plan.
So I understand how Netflix works, and that's great. And again, I understand. I totally understand that is a great base of reference as we're talking this through. But I'm definitely seeing this go both ways. I should say either way. So one could argue that, oh well, let's say this Hoopsick woman, she set him up. She set Wells up, and in exchange for drugs or money or whatever, or sex or whatever she needed. She gave up because she knew Wells, because she was sleeping with him, doing whatever for money. She gave his name and delivery route to the three, let's say, conspirators, right? However, wasn't this guy seen leaving one of these people's houses like the day before this murder? I'm sorry, the fucking bomb thing.
Well, there was a eyewitness that put him at the scene, but Hoopsick said there's no way that he could have been there because according to her, he was with her between the hours were 2 and 3:45 or something like that, and the eyewitness said that he had seen him leaving the scene at this time or whatever. So there were conflicting reports on that. Now this is according to this prostitute,
right?
Now, she came on at the end of the documentary and gave this statement, basically laying out everything. She's like, I just want to come clean and talk about everything, because she kind of had a role in it, I guess, kind of introducing him and doing all that. But there was somebody that saw him leaving that property and said, I saw him in the car. He almost cut us off.
Right. But this is like a My Cousin Vinny thing. I saw two guys driving away in a green whatever car, and in reality it was two other guys that drove away
in the same car.
In a very similar car.
With the same tread or whatever.
Right. That's right. It's exactly that. Huh. Okay, well then I'll retract that.
Well, I mean,
I'll say that I'll assume that the dude was set up.
Yeah, well, that's like I said, that's according to her, and there was an eyewitness that said, no, we saw him there, and he was in on it. And you got to wonder why he was so nonchalant about a bank robbery. It just doesn't make sense. The whole thing doesn't really make sense. I watched that documentary from beginning to again here, and I didn't really feel like
he was innocent.
He was innocent, or there was any real closure with the story.
But how long of a night of drinking and crack were they on when they came up with this elaborate, the handwritten, a 9-page handwritten, the letters and the clues? And
well, they were, like I said, both very intelligent, that Rothstein and Marjorie Deal.
I think they were overthinking. Yeah, maybe.
Well, I know him especially. Now, he died during the investigation. He had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, cancer. And
who's that? Rothstein.
Rothstein did. Okay. Yeah. So while they were investigating all this, he had passed away anyhow. Marjorie Deal was in prison during all this, and I think you said 2017 is when she passed away.
Yeah, of breast cancer, but she was she had a lot of problems though. Yeah. She wasn't right in the head.
Was that Hoopsick? Again, I have not seen the documentary. Was that the prostitute? Was she in prison?
No,
she did not. Free. She was not sent to jail.
No, there was nothing that she Her only guilt was that she introduced this Wells to these people.
Gotcha.
So, but in her, what she was kind of saying is look, I introduced, but he wasn't aware of what was going on. He was kind of introduced to him, and then kind of,
but when
maybe shocked when all this happened with the bomb and all that.
Sure.
When
shock and awe.
When he left the bank, and he was supposed to go to McDonald's, but there was supposed to be another clue and part of the treasure hunt, which made and you would get the 4 keys. And it would make the bomb not go off if you collected all 4 from within a certain amount of time. And I guess he just got to McDonald's. That was pretty much it.
There was
they found something in a rock or something like that.
Maybe stop for a Big Mac or some shit.
There was gotta be hungry. He just robbed the bank.
P.S. You can now get Big Mac sauce as a sidecar for nuggets. That's now a sauce option.
I did not know that.
It comes in its own cup.
Don't they sell that somewhere or no? Is that
you're not finding that retail anywhere?
Okay.
There was a connection with that Brian Wells and that, because he was way into scavenger hunts. So these people knew that. He would do them for fun. They had scavenger hunts in and around Erie, and this guy would do them just for the hell of it. He loved them. So they knew he liked scavenger hunts.
If there's something you do in Erie, I think we might have mentioned that. Or talked about that.
Scavenger hunts?
Yeah.
But,
it's a great board game as a kid, by the way.
Right.
Love that game.
Scavenger hunt.
Sorry. Squirrel.
No. Yeah. But yeah, so they knew that. I guess maybe they figured doing that will make it interesting for him, basically. He's into them, so we'll make this a big scavenger hunt. But that bomb was definitely real, and it was definitely, I don't know who would have been able to do all that and get all that done in that time frame anyhow. Because if that bomb went off, now I don't know for sure how long they were out there basically in a standoff.
Yeah.
but there were 2 timers in that bomb.
Yeah.
That, one would click, finish, and then it would start the other one. They put a bunch of wires in there that were like, if they brought in a bomb tech, they said they still probably wouldn't have been able to disarm it in time.
They had a lot of like dummy wires.
And stuff like that.
So my understanding with that scavenger hunt thing, and I see what you're saying, it's like, all right, well, look, if this dude was at McDonald's, he just let's say he just completed step 1 of the scavenger hunt.
Right.
Well, now he's apprehended by the police. I don't know how long he's sitting there or how long it takes the bomb squad to get there. But that notwithstanding, my understanding of the scavenger hunt, at least the thought behind it was, as you go to these stops, like X number of stops along the scavenger hunt, you're going to find things or keys or some shit that when you insert them into this thing, there was like 5 keys, I think, it will delay the timer or hit the reset button.
Right. Like, kind of like, yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's like Die Hard 3. With Samuel L. Jackson.
Right.
So these guys have to go from point to point to point, doing that Simon Says game or whatever, because the bad guy's name was Simon. So when they would do that, they would, again, stop bombs, or they would stop this from happening or stop that from happening. I think it was something along those lines. At least that's the way it was explained within these documents, these pages found on, Pizza Boy's, blown ass out chest.
Yeah, that was.
They were also saying he'd be under like constant surveillance.
Oh, really?
So,
yeah, they were actually sitting in the Citgo parking, like the gas station across the street, watching like all this transpire. So when they, that was Marjorie and Rothstein, and when they were sitting over there and they saw the cops show up, they're like, let's get out of here. Now there were, I guess when the cops found out where the pizza delivery guy came from, like where he delivered the pizzas, they went to stake out that area or to go check it out. And there, one of the officers said that day he didn't really think much of it. Like he thought about it for a second, but then was like, it's probably nothing. He saw like a blue van I think it was like a blue van or whatever, like coming down this dirt lane, saw state police, saw police marked cars, and stopped, kind of put it in reverse and like took off.
Sure.
He's like, that's weird, but now we got other shit to deal with right now. But here that was ended up being Rothstein and Marjorie Deal.
Oh,
so if they would have stopped them then and investigated it there, maybe they would have put 2 and 2 together. Point being is that they were definitely, obviously, as we find out, involved. They didn't put all this together for a long, long time.
Right.
And even that phone call coming in a month later with the body in the freezer and that James Roden, her boyfriend, they still didn't connect it.
Right.
That pizza bomber thing was all over the news and nobody really knew the motive. Like, who would kill this guy?
And all the while, it was just 2 or 3 people that had been sitting around saying, "How can we find money? How can we make money?"
All this just to rob a bank and get money. But I still don't know how it would have worked anyhow.
It wouldn't have. I think that's they wanted him dead anyway. Well, he was just one less person to worry about.
That's right. That's one. Snitches get stitches. Yes. So this is one less voice. It's basically like, it's like from Clue. Can you keep a secret? So can I. Which means that I'm not telling you shit. So the more. As soon as you tell someone else, it's no longer a secret.
Right.
So
it's like a capital. Only like one person you can commit a crime with. Yeah. Because more than one, somebody else knows.
Right. There's a lot of people involved in this. And maybe that's why that second pizza delivery driver went dead like the day later, and they made it look like like you said, they can make it look like anything.
Yep.
But I think the FBI was so thrown off because they were like, what guy's willing to put a freaking bomb on their neck and be part of a plan like that?
Yeah, but the whole thing just did not make sense. But I still don't feel, like I said, even watching it to the end, if the guy wasn't involved willingly, like why he was just so relaxed about it. In my mind, I feel like he was involved. He just thought it wasn't a real bomb.
Yeah.
He just thought he was going to go in there and get away with it.
And so that makes sense. And so maybe it's like, look, maybe the nuts like give this guy 250. And maybe they just told him, look, man, of this 250, we'll give you 50.
Right.
And whatever, or we'll give you fucking 200 of it. They could have told him whatever. So in his mind, it's like, oh, great, I'm going to get a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But shit, if I would have gotten that money, I would have gone, well, no. So now I'm thinking this through. How would that, so let's pretend if he goes in and gets that 250, what would happen if he didn't give them anything? Then the bomb would go off. Okay. Yeah. I got it. Now it makes sense. Deal.
Wait, this Barnes guy was supposed to kill him for 250, right?
The Barnes guy was supposed to kill Marjorie's father for 250.
Yes.
Yeah. So the money from this robbery was supposed to pay Barnes.
But why didn't he just kill the dad and then just get the money when she got paid for the dad.
Well,
So
You skip some steps.
Not necessarily. No, I see what you're saying. But how do you force her to take that money out of the thing? How do you force her to take that money out of the bank and get that money? It's like, look, if you don't have this money, I'll fucking kill you because I killed your fucking dad. I guess, would that work? Can you force somebody at gunpoint to, go to the bank and take out $250,000?
They tried that on Fargo or something like, or Raider, no.
I think it was probably one of them things where they were just like, hey, we'll come up with this.
I'm just saying, she says that the guy sounded creepy anyway. Like, just look, kill my dad. Then when we collect the money from his death, I'll pay you.
Right. And she said it to him, I guess, and he kind of laughed it off. Like, yeah, I'll do it, knowing that he won't. But he was like, yeah, sure. Because if she's dumb enough to give me the money, I'm never, I'm just going to take it and run. I don't really give a shit.
Well, they're not using the KISS method of murder.
What's that one?
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Of
Right.
anything. It's like, why such a plan?
And the thing is, they said, and I don't know if, I think somebody, it wasn't her that said this, but like somebody said, like, she had already murdered other people.
Yes.
Allegedly.
So
why wouldn't she just do it herself?
Exactly.
Why would she pay this guy? Like, there were a lot of holes in his story that make you wonder, like, all right, well, somebody's not telling like the full truth here. Rothstein, he died during, like I said, during the investigation, but he was able, they did like lie detectors. The guy was so smart that he knew how to trick them and get away. So you can never really trust what he was saying. The only one that, that they tried to make it look like at the end was that prostitute, like she doesn't really have much to, yeah, she really liked this Wells guy.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, he was a really good guy.
Mm-hmm.
She was trying to do this to clear his name. Maybe she's lying. Maybe she's not. That's the one in this whole documentary. I think they tried to make it look like this is the real story.
Right.
But like Zap said, can you really believe any of it?
But I think what Zap was saying too is like she's the one that could use him to get the sex and the drugs and the monies
But he's gone now. So
yeah.
she actually had a baby. She was pregnant when they were investigating it, or when they were in. I'm sorry, she was pregnant when.
You all know Tanya.
Yeah, you all know Tanya. She was pregnant when they were investigating this, and she wasn't really taught to anybody. She ended up having this baby, and she thinks it's Wells' baby.
Dang.
So maybe that's part of it too.
He said his name on the street was Daddy Longstrokes.
Right.
They called him Pizza Boy Wells.
But yeah, this prostitute and the other prostitute, they would all go to Barnes' house, and that's where all this shit would go down. The drugs,
that's what he said. The
and
prostitution and everything, the sex work was there.
Old Barnes slid one past the goalie there.
It was like a real shithole. That Barnes' house and the house where Marjorie Dale was at was like really bad. She was like a really bad hoarder and stuff like that. When they showed the videos of them going in to look for the dead frozen body, there was just clutter and shit everywhere.
Side story. So my neighbor's house burned down the month before the quarantine. So what, COVID was 3 years ago?
Yeah, January. We'll say March of 2020.
So March of 20, that's it. So it was March of 2020 was the quarantine. In February, my neighbor's house burned down, and it was later found. So there were like 3 or 4 different fire companies that came.
Was it a Tesla?
They had
that happened actually right over here.
Yeah, it was
a Tesla burned a house down.
Yeah, they plugged it in wrong. It was $1.5 million home. Actually, I went swimming there.
I thought that was the one you. Yeah,
so I've heard about that. Like, you can't put those things out.
Fuck no.
Like
you got to let it burn.
You got to let it burn. So the firemen ended up coming to this house to try to put it out, and as they're breaking through windows to try to get in, this, unbeknownst to me, I mean, I was never in my neighbor's house. She was apparently a ridiculous hoarder. Like,
oh, really?
Also, it just went up.
So
it's like matchsticks.
The firemen could not. Well, it went up because the firemen would not allow themselves to get in there because they could not move around.
Oh, Jesus!
They
That's like an episode of Hoarders.
Dude, they couldn't walk between like beds and walls and down hallways because there was so much shit all over the place. So yeah, the house burned the fuck down.
Yeah, but this lady like had mental problems, like we mentioned a bunch of times. So I think with that, with the crack and everything else going on, it's kind of hard to keep a control of the house. So. Yeah, that house was huge. I guess the Tesla started burning, and their house was so big. Like I didn't think there's so much air. That happened quick. So
yeah, that house, definitely a hoarder. And the same way with the drug house where that guy was at. They said it took them like 8 days, I think, to clean everything out.
Yeah,
there were two animals in there, 2 dogs that they actually had to put down. They were so like their health was so bad and stuff. So.
I didn't even know they were there, though. They were like lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole.
Is that a dog? Yeah. What is that?
Why
it's
is
a big ass rat.
Why is that trash pile moving?
I mean, everybody involved in this story, it seemed like had like a tragic life or something that, you know what I mean? That Rothstein guy, I mean, I'm not sure what he did for a living or what his deal was, but I mean, he obviously had some shit going on. Like she said, he was sexually perverted and different stuff. But
So from what I found, he was a handyman.
Is that what he did?
He was just he did like odd jobs.
so then that makes sense. Maybe he was the one that did the bombs.
Yeah.
Like they never really said who put the bombs together, but it was somebody who was knowledgeable because they said, you know, they were pretty well thought out and everything like that. But yeah,
one don't make a bomb and just trust. Like, let me try this from what was that called? The cookbook or whatever it was.
The Anarchist's Cookbook.
Anarchist Cookbook. Yeah. But definitely a crazy story. Like I said, the documentary was, I mean, I'm going to say it was bad. It's definitely not the best one I saw. The first episode gets you kind of sucked in. The second and third part are kind of about the people's lives. And I mean, it's interesting, but not really enough to like, you're like, oh, I got to tune back in. These people's lives were, now she had that crazy stuff going on with the, you know, the Black Widow stuff, basically guys dying around her. That was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
As far as this Brian Wells, this other local drug dealer guy, what he had going on, I mean, these were just people that were kind of like secondary players in the story. That Brian Wells just happened to be the one that took the brunt of it and ended up getting blown up. The second pizza delivery guy, I think just got killed because of what he knew. They probably took him out like, oh, we don't want him to talk.
Nope.
Brian Wells is gone.
Well, Wells and this guy probably, Wells probably told him all about something when they were.
Conversely.
Yes.
Well, conversely, it could also have been a ploy to throw authorities off the track.
Oh, that's
so
a good point.
You got one pizza guy that dies. Well, fuck it. Let's just kill another pizza guy.
Make them like, look the other way. Like, oh, maybe
They're looking for a
pizza guy murderer.
Yeah.
A pizza guy murderer.
Pizza murder and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, but I definitely highly recommend checking it out. Like I said, the ones in between are not that compelling to watch, but definitely want to watch them so you get a little backstory on the people. I mean, the meat of the story is the day of the bombing is interesting, and then the guy in the freezer, media coverage, and then kind of when everything comes together. These people's lives and the stuff in between. I mean, it's interesting that her dad had a little bit of money in the bank. It's not like he was a multi-millionaire. Mm-hmm. But that whole plot to murder her dad, and then the little side story with Rothstein and his family, whatever was going on, that he needed the money. But other than that, like the people involved were, to me, just kind of like, do we really need to know about them and their life story and stuff? The heart of this is the day of the bombing and that it took that long to figure it out. And that guy made such a suspicious comment the day, and they actually videotaped. They had the tape of the state police in this guy's
saying has
Rothstein's house
to do.
And he says, hey, by the way, I just want to let you know this has nothing to do with that pizza bomber.
Right.
Oh, okay. Oh, by the way, what's up? You know, they just like didn't even like think twice about it. It's like,
I don't think it didn't seem like, they were like, what do you mean by a pizza bomber? It probably made no sense to them. They didn't, because it was like a collar. If he would have said like the collar bomb or something like that.
Well, I think at that time it was in the media, the pizza bomber case. Oh, okay. It was already all over the place. So he told him like that and then made a comment like, I just don't want you guys wasting your time. Like, I know you got other stuff to deal with. I don't want you spending, weeks and weeks going up, looking something up, but we have nothing to do with it. Or this has nothing to do with. This is just dealing with her and this, lover of hers that she wanted to get rid of. But yeah, definitely a wild story happened up in Erie, PA, which I had a couple of fun facts about Erie. Do you guys have anything else about the case that you wanted to talk about, or anything that we missed that you think is important in that case?
Nothing other than if we didn't already mention it. I think we briefly did. Again, as this guy Brian Wells had thought that if he would complete those scavenger hunt steps, he would have, been able to disarm the bomb.
Right.
I think police later, did they try to do that? Like, you know what I mean? Like go through these things, do these steps. I thought I saw someplace like they had actually gone through it and they figured out like there's no fucking way
that you would have been able to do it.
You would have been able to do it in time, like with enough time.
Or not even, I don't think there would have been anything in there to disarm the bomb. It was just something like they probably made his...
Which leads back to the story that they wanted to kill this guy no matter what.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. It wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't.
Well, he thought it was probably something fun, but I mean,
not with a fucking bomb around his neck.
Right.
Yeah, but I think he was probably like, I'm supposed to do this, and then I'll get off. I'll say I'm like crazy, or they put it on him. The black guys in the long dirt road and now I'm safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and we all have money, and we're all going to party hard.
Yeah.
For like 3 weeks.
cracking hookers.
Right.
All right.
In,
No, I
my,
got nothing.
in my mind, I look, like I said, at this story, and the two people that were the smartest, I think, were the ones that were kind of the masterminds. And that's why they call it evil genius, because she was smart, he was smart, that
And
Rothstein, and
they both went to jail.
they both went to jail. He
Not
died.
very smart. That was a dumb plan for how easy it could have been.
Right. Yeah.
Oh.
But it did take them a while to figure it out. So, but yeah,
True,
I know what you're
true.
saying.
Mm.
So, yeah, the guy that that says right here, that Robert Panetti, that was the other pizza delivery guy.
Yep. He gone.
So that part I said about him being there when they did have the meeting, that was not in the documentary. That was actually alleged by that Floyd Stockton and Ken Barnes said that he was there and that he was paid in drugs. And that was the drugs that killed him.
Mm.
So if he was there and they paid him in drugs, that's how they connected all that. But yeah. So there's a movie called 30 Minutes or Less, and it's with Jesse Eisenberg and Danny McBride, who we all know from Kenny Powers. And that movie is basically this pizza bomber story. They basically kind of remade it. It's a delivery guy who's kidding the pizza delivery guy, taken hostage by some criminals, and they strap a bomb to him and force him to
It wasn't like a neck
hold
bomb
up a
or
bank.
anything. Or
I don't know. I didn't see the movie, but they basically modeled that movie off this story. Like I talked about Marjorie being called the Freezer Queen. That was a nickname she got in prison. And they said it more because she was just so cold that she would just kill whoever she
Sure.
killed. But they not knowing that she had that body in her freezer and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it kind of stuck.
coincidental.
She was just a frigid bitch.
Right, basically.
Chili's.
So there
She's
were
like Elsa.
So I was curious with Erie, PA, like who's from Erie, PA, like two famous people. And these aren't even really that famous, but two people, you're definitely going to know their names, I'm sure.
Casey?
Casey Kasem?
No.
No. Casey who?
One of the fucking Governor Casey.
No, I don't know. He might be.
Bob Casey?
But these
Sure,
are
Bob
more
Casey.
these are more people in like
Were they actors?
popular culture. Well, one guy was an actor and you'll know this name right away. Billy Blanks.
Billy Blanks.
Yeah.
He did that judo chop.
The Tybo.
Tybo, there it is.
Yeah, the Tybo. And then he was actually in the movie The Last Boy Scout.
didn't
I
know
guess
that.
he was in that with Bruce Willis. He played like, So Billy Blanks. The other guy that I could find, there was a ton of names when you look up famous people from Erie, but none of the other names I even recognized, so
Sure.
I left them out. But this one I did, Joe Pistone. You know who Joe Pistone is?
He's
That's
an actor.
Donnie Brasco.
Yes.
That's actually
Oh,
real life
okay.
Donnie Brasco.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was born in Erie in 1939, and he's known for Donnie Brasco, obviously. He was the real life, basically, inspiration for the movie.
I like this, bringing up some facts about the place we just talked about, besides the murder
That's right.
thing.
There's more to Erie than just pizza
Yes.
bombers.
And a lake.
Well, that's really those were like the only two fun facts that I could find, like
That's
as far
true.
as famous people and stuff like that. Like we talked a little bit about earlier in there in the episode was about Erie being like a vacation spot kind of for people up in that area, but yeah, there's not really a lot going on up there. It just seems kind of like a sleepy, I mean, it looks like a decent town.
It's a big city,
Big
I think,
area.
right? Yeah.
But the other thing they did mention about that crime is like they had them going on that wild goose chase, basically staying in that vicinity. So you're going to get caught. From Erie, they said within 20 minutes you can be in either state. You can be in Ohio or New York.
Yep.
Basically. So if they really wanted to get away with it, you could be in another state in like 20 minutes.
Absolutely.
So they definitely wanted to get caught, or they wanted to, you know what I mean? They didn't expect to get away with it.
I think whenever state lines, I couldn't follow them.
I think they thought that they were smarter than they really were.
Right.
Or they got lazy and they didn't apply themselves as well as they clearly should have.
Right. They didn't really think things out, but
There's also an Erie Zoo
there is a zoo up there, yeah.
and an Erie Art Museum.
Okay.
And an amusement park
And
And a canal.
and a canal.
the
yeah.
Art Museum gets 1 star.
So it's not that great. Yeah, like I said, I've never been there. That's why I was curious if you have. I guess not really a lot going on up there, but yeah.
Make the trip, though. Just check it out.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind checking out the now if you go on Google Maps, you can actually look up the Evil Genius Pizza Bomber location or whatever. It gives you the the Google Map address. You can punch it in, and all those stores they're still a Lone Star. They're still like an eyeglass place. The McDonald's is still there. I think the gas station that was like across the street might have changed from what I think it was a Citgo maybe.
So what's the name of the steakhouse? Is it a Texas Roadhouse or is it a Longhorn?
It's a Texas Roadhouse.
Don't sleep on Texas Roadhouse.
That's
by the way.
good.
Oh, yeah.
That's very
That's a good. So I'm saying, like, if we're talking like Outback, Longhorn, or
Texas Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse, it's Texas Roadhouse all day for me.
Yeah,
Is that the one on
they're really
22?
good. Yep. No. Texas Roadhouse is on Union Deposit.
There's
Oh,
also-
okay.
So, and in my
The
neck of the
Outback's
woods,
right there.
in my neck of the woods, there's a Texas Roadhouse that's out in.
The main drag.
No, it's out by the Capital City Mall.
Okay.
There used to be one called Lone Star. It was not that good.
Lone Star.
Lone Star
I have
Steakhouse.
money.
Since out of
Power.
business. They all have those bloomin' onions or whatever they call it.
Whatever happened to the Sizzler?
I have both.
See, I get
You know it.
when I go to Texas Roadhouse. Now, if you go to
Those
what's
rolls
the
are so
the
fucking good.
Outback, it's called their onion is called the bloomin'
The
onion.
bloomin' onion.
Yep.
Yeah, and then when I go to Texas Roadhouse, it's
Onion
called
petals.
it's called a cactus blossom.
Interesting.
Have you been there in like the last year? Like the bloomin' onions used to be very big in Bloomin'. Now it's like some onion they found like in somebody's garden.
Thanks, Biden.
Yeah, it's like anything.
I was like, what the hell happened to that onion?
Yep.
It's the economy,
That's
man.
Biden's economy, man.
It's going down.
Now they're just not injecting them enough
you never
because
get
they're worried about health.
right.
Just worried about
If
deliciousness.
if you're getting onion petals dunked in batter, then deep fried, you're not worried about your fucking health.
It's just
sure.
saying they're so little, and
Right.
they used to be so big.
Yeah, but I don't know what we'll be back with next week. Definitely another true crime or compelling story. Yeah, not really much else to talk about with this. Definitely check out the documentary, or like Matt said, there's some cool stuff on YouTube. I guess you
YouTube
can
has
look
some
it
cool
up.
stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely wild to happen in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You know,
It's always fun stuff in PA.
usually.
Good times.
Yeah. You got anything else?
I got nothing, man. Let's wrap this one.
All right. Well, don't forget to find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Dirty Basement, on TikTok at Old Dirty Basement Podcast. I guess that's it for now. So we'll catch you where?
Oh, on the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace. Thanks for hanging out in the Old Dirty Basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is available streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We outie 5000.